Good morning, and welcome to our Sunday morning announcements with the Jocelyn Gray avatar. If you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, please click that subscribe button to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us right now on Zoom, say hi in the chat. We love to say hello back. For everyone here in person, hello everybody here. And if this is your first visit, please sign the guest book either in the lobby or online at oakcliffuu.org/guest. Today, Renée Brill was originally going to present individualism and I'm the only one, but today she will actually be sharing a sense of urgency and burnout. We hope you can stick around after the service for Talkback, where we get together in a circle and share our thoughts. Also after the service, at 11:15, we have Adult Religious Exploration with Sarah Rickey in the Charity Building, in person and on Zoom. Sarah continues with Building Your Own Theology, a class designed to help people define and better understand their own spiritual journey as well as others. Today's focus will be on suffering and meaning. Why do bad things happen? And since it's the third Sunday of the month, there's more. Our White Accountability Group meets in the Hope Common Room and online at 12:15. If you are white identifying and want to work on being true anti-racist allies, please join us. Then there's a worship ministry meeting at 2 p.m. Anyone who is willing to help us plan worship services, or wants to see what goes into planning them, is encouraged to attend. And coming up this week, every Monday, our Widening the Circle of Concern work group continues to meet on Zoom at its new time of 7 p.m. If you would like to help us on our path to becoming an anti-racist church, please consider joining us. If you have questions or concerns about our Widening the Circle of Concern efforts, please email us at wcoc@oakcliffuu.org. See your e-blast or the back of your order of service for the Zoom link to join the meeting. Our next Teamwork Tuesday will be on Tuesday, August 29th. Please plan to join us from 4 o'clock to 6 p.m. if you can lend a hand. We have lots of areas to spiff up before in-gathering. And on Thursday, the Social Justice Ministry is reading Life's Journey, Zuya Oral Teachings from Rosebud, and discussing it on Zoom at 7:30 p.m. Details are in the e-blast. Questions? Please ask Mavis. While you are marking your calendar, go ahead and mark September 10th for our annual in-gathering service and October 29th for our Haunted Forest fundraiser. And of course, we'll be looking for volunteers. More information on all this can be found in the weekly e-blast. Not receiving the e-blast? Just sign up at oakcliffuu.org/enews. It's that easy. Speaking of easy, here's a super easy way to help out your church if you shop online. Go to igive.com/uucoc and join for free, and your online purchases may automatically earn the church some money. That's it for now. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a great Sunday.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. Let us begin our sacred work. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of love, compassion, and forgiveness. And in Spanish,
que esta luz que ahora encendemos nos inspire a usar nuestros dones y poderes para sanar y no para herir, para ayudar y no para impedir, para bendecir y no para maldecir, para servirte a ti, espíritu de amor, compasión y perdón.
Opening words by Susan Magin. From beyond the playful summer clouds, beyond the earth's thin blue line, from beyond the bright moon and meteor showers, we hear the call to look and listen carefully, to turn away from a world that buys and sells happiness, to fully experience the luring whisper of your heart's truth. Why not today? Why not now? We are here and together at home in the evolving place, home in this ever-changing breath and body, home in this dewy morning, even as it reaches toward a hot, high noon. We hear the call far beyond and deep within and we do not hear it alone. Come, let us worship together.
Here we have gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, whether small and great. We of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now to friendship this our heart's own song.
In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another, our joys and sorrows. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experience matters. We share our sorrow with one another today, knowing that sorrow comes into each person's life, knowing that together we offer comfort. Please share your sorrows publicly by posting them in the Zoom chat, or send them to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love.
We also share our joys with one another, knowing that joy comes into all our lives, knowing that joy calls unto joy, knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. Please share your joys publicly by posting them to the Zoom chat or send them to our Facebook Messenger or speak them aloud. Welcome to the UU Church of Oak Cliff. Here we gather in sanctuary where we're free to pursue our own unique and individual spiritual journeys in an atmosphere of acceptance, compassion, and celebration. We seek to build a community where what you believe is less important than how your beliefs guide and inform your participation in the world. Ours is a community that values the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. To our returning visitors, we are so happy to have you joined us again. We know your time is precious, and we're honored to have you here today. We would like to extend a warm welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. We recognize the bravery it took to come into a new place, and we're glad you're here. Ours is a covenantal church, Latin for come together. Covenant means a solemn agreement or promise from the heart. The practice of promising to work together is the core of our faith. Simply put, it is a guide for the behavior we expect from ourselves and each other. We are bound together by the promises we make to one another, and we recite our covenant during every worship service. Because we love one another, honor each individual's spiritual journey, we celebrate life's abundance in service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together. And in Spanish,
Porque nos amamos uno al otro. Agarremos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y excepción. Así que hacemos pacto.
Good morning. I would like to invite you into a moment of quiet with me. And I want to invite you to take the time to have some deep breaths, maybe listen into the quiet, listen into what your body is telling you and maybe what it's telling you it needs right now. But just enjoy some quiet-ish place, quiet-ish space. And I think I will be enjoying listening to the rain, and I wish I could share that with you. But I'll go ahead and set a quick timer and invite you back when we're done. Thank you. I'd like to invite you to join us back in this space and get comfortable where you are. That moment of quiet is a particular treat for me as a new mom with a dog. It seems like there's always something making noise. And I'm always struck by how much sound is actually in those quiet spaces, from cars going up and down the street to phone noises to the sound of my baby's white noise and birds. And there's actually kind of a lot of life in the quiet place. So thank you for sharing that with me. This morning, I kind of want to talk to you about where we've been and where we're going. The last time we talked, I said that we had 3 more white supremacy subjects from Tema Okun, and we're actually going to put a little bit of a pause or a pin in that and kind of slow down our work on that. For our intention was that we would do, the worship team's intention was that we would do 2 sermons on Tema Okun's article each month, but there's actually been a couple of months where we only did 1. So we have a little bit longer to work on that than I had initially hoped, and we have some other things to get started talking about. So we're going to switch to just 1 sermon on white supremacy culture, the white supremacy culture article from Tema Okun per month. And we're going to get started next month talking about some other things, focusing around covenant and the building that we have to do in our church life and in our lives. And this week, when I had actually told Scott the title and the topic for this week, that was kind of before we decided to change directions as the worship team. And so this week it actually feels more appropriate to me to talk about one of the last qualities of white supremacy culture that Tema Okun lists, and that is the quality of urgency. And I feel this very heavily, this sense of urgency, that that feeling that I always have one thing, the next thing has to do, and the next thing has to do, and the next thing has to do. The part of that has to do with having a very young child. There's no snooze button on the baby, and so I'm kind of constantly trying to do what I can in the 5 or 10 or 20 minutes that I have to do those things. And I'm also being interrupted to take care of my lovely little son. So I feel this sense of urgency in my own personal life. And I also feel like we've had a sense of urgency for a while now as progressive thinking and progressive believing people. There has been a lot of urgency from all the way back prior to 2016, where our former president was preventing people of Muslim faith from entering the country, to imprisoning migrants and asylum seekers in terrible conditions at the border, taking their children from them and separating families, the urgency of the pandemic, and trying to find out all of the information that we needed, trying to pivot from one thing to the next, trying to do church in a whole different way, trying to participate fully in the election to try and hope that we can have leaders that value human life. And there's just really been a lot. And I've also felt this a lot as a board member. For all the time that I've been on the board, it feels like there is always one urgent matter of business that we have to attend to and that takes up our time as a board, and we never really get to those kind of long range planning and visioning tasks that are actually really important, right? Those are really our compass for how we're supposed to answer those urgent questions. Are they in line with where we think we're going? And so if we're never taking the time to map that out, it's really hard to make those decisions. So this sense of urgency that Tema Okun lists is a quality of white supremacy culture that I feel is very alive for me right now. So Tema Okun says that there is a constant sense of urgency that reflects our cultural habit of applying urgency to our everyday lives in a way that perpetuates power imbalance while disconnecting us from our need to breathe and pause and reflect. The irony of this is that imposed sense of urgency serves to erase the actual urgency of tackling racial and social injustice. So an example for me might be, I don't have time to go and participate in this rally or in this protest because I have to get to work, or I have these other things that I have to do very quickly and urgently, where a lot of times, well, for my particular work, I don't need to deliver a package, right? Delivering a package is not a life or death issue, but white supremacy culture is absolutely a life or death issue in our culture. So how does that look? A common sense of urgency makes it difficult to take time to be inclusive and encourage democratic or thoughtful decision-making, to think and act long-term, or to consider the consequences of whatever action we make. So this is a great example of how that sense of urgency serves to really increase power imbalances, because we don't stop and take time to make sure that all of the important voices are at the table to make those decisions. And a lot of times in a urgent or emergency situation, we might allow just one person to make that decision. So, and what that might look like is a president stepping in and making a decision on a more regular basis than the board actually making decisions on things, or even that the board is making decisions on things that really would be more appropriate for committees to make a decision on. This also looks like sacrificing potential allies for quick and highly visible results. For example, sacrificing the interests of BIPOC people and communities in order to win victories for white people, which are seen as the norm or the majority community, something that we know is increasingly false. It reinforces existing power hierarchies that use a sense of urgency to control decision-making in the name of expediency. We don't have to ask other people because this one person has all the knowledge necessary, we presume, right? Or we believe to make that decision, when the reality is decisions are often made best by groups of people with diverse backgrounds. It also looks like funding proposals which promise too much work for too little money, and funders who expect too much for too little. It privileges people who process information quickly, or who at least think that they process information quickly. And it sacrifices and erases the potentials of other modes of knowing and wisdom that requires more time, such as embodied, intuitive, spiritual wisdom. It encourages shame, guilt, self-righteousness to manipulate decision-making. It reinforces the idea that we're ruled by time and deadlines and a need to do things in a timely way that are actually arbitrary and have little to do with the actual realities of how long things take, particularly when those things are relationships with others. This is of particular importance for us as a community because our most important work that we do is building the beloved community, and that's a relationship, and relationships take time. Something which Yolanda Graham helpfully pointed out recently is often lost in all the tasks that we are trying to do as a church, to take the time that's necessary to do the relationship work. It's connected to an idea of objectivity in the sense that we think of both time or deadlines as objective rather than subjective and self-made. It reproduces either or thinking because we have to oversimplify issues in order to try and make a decision more quickly. And it makes it harder and harder for us to distinguish what is really urgent from what just feels urgent. And so we get stuck in this cycle where everything feels urgent. Everything has the same sense of urgency. And this leads to mental, physical, intellectual, and spiritual burnout and exhaustion. And it also involves unrealistic expectations in how much can get done in any period of time. And that links back to perfectionism, and perfectionism as we try to get something done perfectly according to our standards of an impossible timetable. One of the things that Tema Okun points out that I think is really very important for us to remember in this moment is that that sense of urgency is what leads to burnout. Treating everything like it's an emergency with everything we have again and again and again, over and over, that actually is pulling from a well faster than the well can refill. And so this sense of urgency, even in communities where we're trying to work for racial justice, we're trying to work for inclusivity, for real beloved community, that sense of urgency becomes poisonous because it leads to this burnout of the people who are trying to do the work. And when people who are trying to do the work burn out, that means that work that is so critical is just not getting done at all. And it also means that we're losing the wisdom and the knowledge of that person, because burnout normally is not going to happen slowly over time. It normally happens all at once, and a person pulls back all at once and doesn't have time to really transfer their knowledge or train the next person to step in and take over those tools. So what are our antidotes for this sense of urgency? Some of this is really straightforward and direct. To set up realistic work plans that are based on the lived experience of people and the organization involved. Make sure that our leadership understands that everything always takes longer than anyone expects. I feel like that's the example of when you're doing renovations, right? It's going to take way more money, and it's going to take way longer than you think it's going to do, and just plan for that. To make a commitment to equity, including a commitment to discuss and plan for what it means to embed equity practices in the work plan. A commitment to learn from past experience about how long things take. To ensure that we're doing collaborative development of realistic funding proposals with realistic timeframes, and to have clarity ahead of time about how we will make good decisions in an atmosphere of urgency. So that should also include decisions about what constitute a good decision. So have a plan for what you're going to do when the unexpected happens, because the unexpected is actually always happening. To have an understanding that rushing decisions often takes more time in the long run, because people inevitably who did not get a chance to voice their thoughts and feelings will at best resent and at worst undermine a decision where they were left unheard. Develop a personal and collective practice of noticing when urgency arises and taking a pause to deliberate with thoughtfulness, intention, An intention about the nature of urgency and what range of options are available to you. One of the things that Tema Okun doesn't specifically list here, but that I feel is incredibly important, is to take the time for self-care and community care. Intentional time to know that you are precious and we can't lose you. You are more precious than the work that you do. And you deserve joyfulness, and you deserve community, and you deserve support. And so it's important when we are having to give of ourselves that we are also taking time to receive and to put back into our own cup. So things like taking moments for quiet, for sitting down to have a meal, instead of maybe sitting at my desk to have a meal, or sitting in front of the TV, or standing and eating off the counter while I feed the baby. Taking time to sit and take care of yourself, and to take time for spiritual practice, to breathe deeply, to listen to music, to dance, to maybe take naps, and to take time to be together without an agenda. So to take time over a meal together, to talk, to joke and laugh, and to just enjoy the presence of one another. Those things are incredibly important, especially when we are giving so much of ourselves. Over the next week and the next couple of weeks, I'd like to ask you to think about what you need. What do you need spiritually to refill your cup? What do you need in order to feel heard? What do you need in order to feel like you belong here? Who would you like to know a little better? I think that I've always been a person who kind of thought that those getting to know you things that happen at the beginning of the meeting, where you sing songs about people's names and answer silly questions like, if you were an animal, what kind of animal would you be? I always thought that those were very silly. And the older I get, the more I understand that those are probably the most important things on the agenda. Because what is important, what is most important, is not any task, but our humanness, the fullness of our human lives. I deeply and truly believe that we are not called to sacrifice, that we are not called to martyr ourselves to build the beloved community, because martyrdom actually only serves the status quo. We are called to live deeply with one another, to live wholly and expansively and beautifully together, because that is what the beloved community looks like. And it is also what we need in order to do the work of building beloved community. I look forward to spending time with you, and to laughing with you, and to being together over the coming year. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
Join me in reciting the Widening the Circle of Concern covenant. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Thank you.
I'm Sherry, for anyone that doesn't yet know that. And I sit back there most of the service doing the Zoom stuff. We have a good half dozen people with us on Zoom today, so glad to have them here. Before I begin the Widening Moment reading, I just want to mention something that I took some joy in after some initial frustration. I had helped as a member of the worship ministry to pick out some opening and closing readings, and of course I picked this Widening Moment reading each week. And I had done that late in the week based on what I thought the topic was going to be for this sermon. And immediately after I did that, I found out that we had changed up the topic, and that's okay because life is change. A couple of things happened in the course of that. While I was searching for readings based on the other topic, I came across this particular piece for the Widening Moment, and I thought, ooh, I really like that, and I love the way it closes. I've got to bookmark that and make sure I have that at hand when that topic comes up. Guess what? It's the one we're using today because it was right there. It was so spot on. And also a couple of the other readings that I had looked at, and I went, oh, that's a really good reading, but it's for a different topic. And here they are for this topic. So I really am glad that I get to share this particular reading with you so soon after I found it, before it became a bookmark lost in a mountain of bookmarks. Our reading today is by Atina Danner. She is a poet, artist, and activist. She wrote this about a year and a half ago. She wrote it in January of 2022, so right after the winter holidays, but just not all that necessary to just placing that in time frame for you. So, The Rest That Will Heal Us by Atina O. Danner. She opens with a quote. This quote is from I'll give you that again. This quote is from Tricia Hersey, who is the Knapp Bishop of the Knapp Ministry. I have caught a radio interview of this program, and it's really marvelous. So Tricia Hersey said, "Rest is reparations." Atina writes, "I recently bridged some holidays with time off to create a 2-week vacation, declaring it hibernation season. I vowed to slow down, enjoy myself, resist unnecessary urgency, and let my mind and body renew. Intentionally adding measures of comfort to my routines felt wonderful. Yet I found myself repeatedly defending my right to ease and demanding justification for my self-care. Audre Lorde was right, of course. Resisting this programming is radical." Atina writes, "I am a Black, queer, neurodivergent woman. My experience at the intersection of these identities has meant a life of intersecting hustles for well-being. Because of the ways
people and systems respond to these identities. Every day is a decathlon of hustles when I'm just trying to be. Increased risk of heart disease, depression, breast cancer, infant mortality, COVID-19, and more for so many of us just trying to be. It is hurtful and infuriating that people accept that that's just the nature of our story, particularly here in the United States. Our society is exceedingly effective at pissing on Black people and calling it rain. So people accept that we are naturally defiled. This seemingly inexhaustible cultural lie is applied to queer lives and disabled lives too. When we are made to believe we're fundamentally worthless and must earn our right to live, then others can profit from the belief that our reason for living is to prove and to earn and to justify our lives. The hustle. To hustle, excuse me. Atina continues, as a Black, queer, neurodivergent somebody, if I want well-being to be my truth, I must reclaim and protect it. This is why I committed to a season of rest and why my citadel is my warm bed. Every chance I get, I am reclaiming well-being. She closes with this, a spell for rest and renewal. Spell for rest and renewal. I draw on the power of houseplants, candlelight, laughter, and dreaming to reclaim the rest that will heal me. In defiance of white supremacy, ableism, and patriarchy, I refuse to light the other end of my candle. I will boldly protect my softness, defend my sleep, and liberate all of my unassigned minutes, hours, and days. I am one soft animal among many, a cell in the breathing world's body. Let us be cared for as such. May it be so.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place that is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Members, if you are contributing cash towards your pledge, please use the envelope provided and write your name on it. To text your donation, see the number on your order of service, 214-225-5996. For more options, see oakcliffuu.org/donate.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. Así compartimos y vivimos hoy. Receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. De ti yo recibo, a ti te doy. así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
Our closing words today, May Love Permeate by Becca Reynolds. May love permeate your every heartbeat. May faith guide your every step. May truth and compassion be your eternal traveling companions. And may a deep, abiding spirit rest joyously in your every waking wish and your every resting dream.
Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can't go on. When sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can't go on. And though the journey is long, the destination's near, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can't go on.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los llevaremos en el corazón hasta que estemos juntos otra vez.